It is 9:06, Lou Information Station. It is the Earl Austin Experience. Earl is on assignment, as they say. He is with the Billikens in Philadelphia. They will take on LaSalle coming up later today at 3 o'clock. A little bit later this hour, Earl's going to call in from Philadelphia. We'll talk about that game and much, much more. My first guest this morning is from Vianney High School. He is the head basketball coach, Kevin Walsh. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. It is good to see you. I should make a disclaimer. I have seen a lot of Vianney basketball over the last 4 years, having worked at the home games, and have enjoyed watching the Griffins play. It has really been a great 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good stretch, and it helps when we got the best PA man in town. So I appreciate all you do, and you bring a lot of juice and energy to the gym. So I appreciate it.
We have a lot of fun, and your players are the ones that bring the juice. I want to let everyone know that the show is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport, St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. 25 plus years. Is this year 26?
This is year 26.
Wow. And you played at Vianney, right? Graduated in 91?
I did. We didn't have quite the talent that we're able to have right now.
Who did you play for?
I played for Jerry Beckman. Jerry
Okay.
Beckman was the head coach for 29 years. I sort of got him towards the end of his career. He retired from coaching right when I came in. I was an assistant for 5 years with a gentleman named Bill Young, who had been Jerry's assistant. And then after 5 years, Bill stepped away, and I'm going for 26. So do the math. I think it's like almost 60 years and 3 coaches.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Pittsburgh Steelers of high school basketball. That's fantastic. That's great. Must be doing something right at Vianney to do that. So when did you know you might want to be a high school basketball coach?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I played football and basketball, and playing both of those, like football, I could just kind of do what the coaches told me. I didn't see the game and didn't really understand it. In basketball, I can remember having conversations with Coach Beckman, like, why don't we do this, or could we try this? And so I was our point guard, so he gave me a little bit of freedom with that. And then Don Maurer, who was a longtime head coach at St. Louis U High and then MICDS, he used to have the best basketball camps in town, and we were in the same parish. And so I just asked him summer between my senior year and freshman year in college if I could come work camps for him. And I did that summer, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So he really got me started in coaching and has been a great friend and mentor for me for the rest of my career.
Yeah, and you obviously clearly enjoy it. You've had a lot of success. Congratulations. Recently picked up win number 400, and things, as you mentioned, have gone very well. The last 4 years were probably the most unique of your career, I would imagine, because you had a young man who set all kinds of scoring records at Vianney High School. His name was Luke Walsh, and for 4 years, you were the second most popular Walsh at Vianney.
That might be right, and probably I was his second most popular parent because his mom always kept us in line. And but yeah, it was a great experience to coach Luke, and I think any coach that gets to coach their kid, it's a really neat experience. Also, probably one of the most difficult experiences as well. So yeah, get to experience those highs and lows, but I do think our relationship has been forged and much stronger because of basketball.
And you guys spent a lot of time together. Luke is a gym rat. Luke, I mean, I would see videos of Luke shooting all the time, and he was someone who was just so determined to continue to get better in basketball. But you both have a lot of emotion when you coach and when he played. Did you have to set rules with yourself and say, no basketball talk at home, or we're leaving this here? Or how did you do it, or did you just do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we tried. I think the best thing that ever happened to him was when he got his driver's license, so we didn't have to drive home for games together. But it was hard. Yeah, I mean, he was a guy every morning from the middle of 7th grade through the day he went to college. We went to Vianney and shot. It was like 1,700 straight days.
Wow.
I rebounded for him every day, and that was a really, really awesome experience. How many dads get to do something with their son for 1,700 consecutive days? So it was very special. Yeah, we would try, but there were times, like sometimes he would bring it up at home, and he he'd see me watching our game from that night and say, hey, what about on that? So we didn't have any hard and fast rules, but there were definitely times where I just had to say, we're not talking about it, or he would say, I can't do it, Dad, and we would leave it alone. So we were pretty, I think, honest and upfront with each other about what that was like.
Was it sometimes harder with the other players? Because I don't know if in your head you would think to yourself, am I coaching Luke too much? Did that ever really come in? Or because, I mean, he was obviously one of the top players, so he was someone that the other players looked to because he was a guy that you knew could give you 25, 30 points a night. How difficult was that at times, or was that never really an issue?
No, I think it is hard. I think even from an early age, I think really I was harder on him. And oftentimes I think parents are harder on their own. But when I first started coaching Luke, when he was in first and second grade, he was always an aggressive young man. I never had to worry about him finding his shots.
Right.
But then I also wanted to rein him in, and you don't want it to be daddy ball where, oh, he's just coaching so his kid can shoot every time. So I was pretty hard on him on shot selection and shot choice and trying to make sure he was a good teammate. And certainly it's in your mind, and you want to make sure that no one feels like, oh, this is just a one player team. And I don't think we ever were, but I think always that's in the back of your mind that you worry about it. Fortunately, he was blessed to play with some pretty talented players, and he recognized that. So when you have guys like J.D. Dorman, Ben Karsten, Simon Guy, Brock Long, Chase Duke, he understood that, he doesn't have to do it all by himself. And the more that he shared the ball and got others involved, the better he would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And he found his way to SIU Carbondale. Give us an update. I know he's redshirting this year. How has he found the life so far in college?
Yeah, he likes it. I mean, he recognizes there's a grind to it, and it's a business. But he's with like-minded people, and so he's with guys that want to be in the gym. He still goes to the gym and gets his work in every morning before practice. I would say that he doesn't love redshirting, but he's learning patience, and that's something that all young people need to learn.
And old people.
And some old people as well, yes.
Me too.
And I think that what we talk about a lot is just, let's revisit this when you're 22, 23, and you're still playing instead of being an 18-year-old that's getting a couple minutes. So he's behind some older, more experienced players, and college is a grown man's game. So
yeah,
he's learning.
I looked at their game so far. It looks like it's been a little streaky. They've gone on some winning streaks, but had some losing streaks as well. So looks like they're about 500. I think.
Yeah, they're right around 500. And tough loss the other night. Had a good win last weekend at Belmont. So they're trying to find their way. But he likes the coaches. He likes the players. He's happy and he's working.
If I asked you how his development went over the 4 years at Vianney, what were you kind of most proud of at the end?
I really think by the end of it, probably two things. One, I really appreciated how he grew as a leader for a pretty young team last year. And then I really think, everybody kind of viewed him as a shooter, and he is an elite level shooter, but he developed his game to being a 3-level scorer. Last year he could get to the rim, he could hit mid-range, he could shoot deep threes. And then he was a willing defender, down the stretch for us. He wanted to guard Zyrie Collins. He wanted the challenge of guarding Scotty Atkinson, and we knew, and he knew it was going to impact his offense. But he was willing to commit to guarding those guys because he knew it gave us the best chance to win.
Kevin Walsh, the head basketball coach at Vianney, is our guest this morning on the Earl Austin Experience. Earl is in Philadelphia with the Billikens. They'll take on LaSalle later on this afternoon. My name is Dave Greene. Flying Ryan Swingler is alongside. We'll have Hall of Famer Ron Zetcher in coming up in the second hour, and have a great guest that hour as well as the Hall of Famer Ron Jacober is scheduled to join us. But we talk basketball here in this first hour, and I ask you about developing players. Probably the most fun part of being able to kind of hang out around you guys the last 4 years is seeing the growth of players. We were talking about Simon Guy before we came on the air, and his first game, you put him in the game. He didn't know he was supposed to go to the scorer's table to check in. That's how new he was to basketball. And now you told me he's signed to go to Northwestern. I mean, that has to make, you didn't coach him obviously throughout his whole career, but you saw him when he had hardly ever played basketball. That's got to make you feel really, really good.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. You know, Luke and I went and met him at the airport when he landed in America for the first time, and to watch him develop, not only as a player, but as a person, and to see how excited he was when he was back in St. Louis over Christmas was pretty awesome. And, you know, we go right down the line. You know, Ben Carson is on the same path that Luke was. Ben came in as a freshman. He was an elite level shooter. He probably is the best shooter in St. Louis. But now he's not just a shooter. Now he gets to the rim. Now he can hit that mid-range. Now he's hitting the boards for us. And you look at Chase Duke, who as a freshman and sophomore was just kind of a grinder, a rebounder, stick-back guy. And through his hard work, he's become a really good perimeter shooter. And Brock Long continues to develop his shooting and his leadership skills. And that's what it's all about. That's, you know, yeah, you want to win games, you want to win championships, but you want to help players develop and get the most out of their ability, but also develop as people. And those guys are all becoming great leaders and great young men. And that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, it's been a very successful start to the season so far, 12-1, with the only loss to Chaminade, who lost last night to DeSmet, who Vianney beat. So looks like it'll just be another ho-hum year in the MCC.
Welcome to the MCC.
It is talk about those players, and I wanted to go back to one you mentioned in particular in Chase Duke. He's a coach's dream. That he is as tough as they come. I call him Charles Barkley. He's in there banging with the big boys and not afraid to do it. And, you know, a lot of your players play with super high energy. I'm going to ask you about what Kevin Walsh basketball is in a minute, but it seems like Chase Duke is the type of player that, you know, if you could write out a guy you'd like to have on your team just on paper, it would look like the way he plays.
Yeah, I mean, Chase is absolutely a coach's dream, and the kind of kid that when we're good, we have guys like him. When he came to our place, you know, he was for an eighth grader coming in freshman year, he was big and strong for an eighth grader, and he played with us in the varsity, but was in limited minutes, and at times was frustrated and wanted to play more. And we were trying to encourage him to stay the course, and that this was going to pay off for him when he's a sophomore and a junior. And now I think you can see some of that stock being cashed. He's just a battler. I'll get on him at practice about, you know, you're supposed to be so tough and you're not rebounding. And you can just see the other guys hang their heads because they know all I got to do is challenge him, and then bodies are going to be flying. And he just answers every challenge. What's been most impressive about him is I think last year he might have been 3 for 27 from 3 on the year, which means he shot about 1 a game. He didn't make very many, and he has worked so hard on his shot. So when people say, like, I don't know if you can develop a jump shot by the time you get to high school, you absolutely can. And Chase has done it simply through improved mechanics and hundreds of thousands of reps. He goes to a facility called Shoot 360, which is like a shooting lab for basketball players. He's in our gym every morning shooting. He has just been tremendous for us.
Yeah, again, just to see the growth. And you mentioned Ben Carson, one of the top shooters, if not the top shooter in the area. What I'm so impressed by Ben is his release. He catches that ball, and that sucker is up quicker than you can even think about a shot. He gets it up quick, but man, is he a good shooter.
He is a tremendous shooter. And we do certain drills where we measure, like, you got to score this, you got to score that. And it's so fun, you know, because we've had some really good shooters from Adam Stassel and Brandon Hebrank when, you know, 4 years ago. Luke obviously fits that. Ben fits that. Brock Long, Omar Long, his brother, fits that. But Ben, when you talk about release, he gets it off quicker than anybody I've ever coached. And his shot doesn't get blocked very much. And it's really helped him. He's been battling some injuries right now, but the release is still quick enough that even if he's not as explosive as he normally is, he's still getting his shot off and shooting it at a great clip.
Yeah, a couple games early in the season, it was, you know, you guys just shoot the ball so well. It was lights out. It's tough to beat a team when they hit 12 or 14 threes in a game. And as you said, you've got really 4 or 5 guys that can really shoot the basketball. Definitely want to talk about Brock and Omar. As you mentioned, Brock has really stepped in nicely to the point guard and leadership role on the team.
He has. He's kind of embraced that. He certainly has that same workman-like mentality that I think has sort of become part of the culture of our program. I know everybody throws the word culture around a lot, but he's working every day. He's staying after. He's really embraced kind of the leadership role. He's rare for us. He's a junior captain, but he's kind of one of those guys that keeps our guys together. And it feels like of late when we've needed a big basket, he's been a guy that we've been able to lean on.
Yeah, I was excited when I saw that his brother was also playing. Of course, missed last season with an injury and was out recently, but Omar has had a heck of a first full season with you.
Yeah, Omar was out with a foot injury last year and had to have surgery on his foot. So last year was just kind of a watch and learn year, and he wasn't happy about it. But we knew what we had in a little bit of glimpses we saw the summer before his freshman year. So we were excited when he was healthy and was able to play at the start of the year. And so he is also an elite level shooter, but also very calm with the ball. We trusted in his hands, and his foot's bothering a little bit. So just out of caution, we didn't play him the other night, and we certainly miss him because he is another weapon for us.
Yeah, and then you don't have a lot of size, but you do have one gentleman. We mentioned him earlier, Mamadou Barry, a 7-foot sophomore who's leading the area in block shots, really come along defensively.
He has really come along defensively, and I think if you look at how big guys progress in their trajectory, normally the defense comes before the offense. And so what he's been able to do defensively for us is be a rim protector. That's something we were missing last year that I think that hurt us a little bit defensively. So his ability not only to block shots, but I also think if you watch, guys go in there sometimes and they're peeking over their shoulder trying to figure out where he is. And so they're a little bit less timid just to go and attack the rim. And then he's been very good on the boards. And I think maybe the best thing he's done is he stayed out of foul trouble for the most part. We've been able to keep him in games.
Yes, that has definitely been the case. And, every now and then he'll take that lob pass and throw it down, which always gets the crowd excited. All right. What is Kevin Walsh basketball? What would you say? How would you answer that?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't want to put my name on any label my name on anything, but one, I think it's evolved. One of the things that my assistant coach and I, Craig Kennedy, talk about, I'm in my 50s and he's in his 60s, and we're like, we're kind of the old guys here, but we've always been very progressive in terms of how we play. So I would say offensively, we are very up tempo. We want to get it out and go. I say all the time, we press on offense. Everybody thinks about pressing on defense. Well, we want to press on offense and put pressure on their defense. We try to create advantages, whether we get a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2. And when we get that advantage, we want to keep it, which leads to hopefully inside out threes and a lot of uncontested rim shots at the rim or uncontested threes. Defensively, we're going to get up. We're going to pressure. We're going to make it feel like hopefully there's more than 5 guys out there. We like to jump switch and just really try to be disruptive defensively as well. So we are a very up-tempo team, which I don't think people who think about Vianney would say like, oh yeah, they're going to get up and down and they're going to pressure all over the floor. But that's the way we play, and our guys have really embraced it.
Would I be correct in saying you spend more time in practice on defense? I'm just going to say what my point is. Your teams are amazing to me on defense. Just the way that they all seem to realize that that's not only going to be how they defend their basket, but how they're going to create offense.
Yeah, I could show you some film that may disagree with that at times, but we kind of have a high standard, so they probably think they're doing okay, and we think they can do better. But I would say we're actually we kind of do 3 components in practice. And if you look at a 90-minute practice, we're going to probably spend 30 minutes on defense, 30 minutes on offense, and 30 minutes shooting. We spend a lot of time shooting the basketball practice, which is something I think maybe programs don't do as much as we do, but I think shooting is the great equalizer.
Yeah, well, obviously it has been for your team successfully over the last several of years. Things have changed. Things have changed dramatically since you started coaching high school basketball. Things have changed dramatically with players wanting to get to the next level. We've obviously seen that in the last couple of years. But in terms of high school basketball and how it has changed since you first got into it, when you played, give us sort of the state of the state and how you see high school basketball these days.
Yeah, I think high school basketball is so much better now. I think the players are more talented, they're bigger, and they're stronger. The influx of basketball skills training has changed the way basketball is played. I think teams are more willing to be up tempo. I think there is a movement, and everything trickles down. Kids are willing, not just at private schools, but parents are willing to move from one public school to another. Kids have opportunities to go to prep schools. So the concept of guys being at a place for 4 years, I think, has kind of changed some. I think the coaching has gotten better. I think scouting has gotten better. So, when you used to come out and be able to run 4 or 5 plays and they wouldn't know it, with the invention of sharing film and huddle, everybody knows everything that people are doing. So that's been probably some of the biggest changes since I've been doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do definitely notice a lot sitting at the scorer's table. The other coaches calling out your plays, you're calling out theirs. I mean, you're right. There are no secrets these days. The recruiting process is obviously changed and maybe changed forever. Freshmen and sophomores are just going to have a difficult time in terms of being recruited, because you can recruit players who you've already seen play at the college level. You just went through that as a parent. How was that process?
It was stressful and challenging. I think Luke was fortunate in that he had some early offers that were legitimate offers. I think too, what often gets overlooked is some people offer, but it's not really a committable offer.
Right.
So it's nothing. But even still, early offers don't mean very much, because, he had 2 schools that offered him that he was very interested in, and then they changed coaches and those offers are gone, right? They don't stay with the school. They go away with the coach. He was in a situation where he wanted to sign early and wanted to challenge himself and play at the highest level that he could play. And he really fell in love with the new staff at Carbondale, and he felt like Carbondale was kind of his type of city, and kind of gritty and hard nosed. And so, it worked very well for him. I think that's a little bit of an outlier nowadays.
Yes.
I mean, it all fell into place for him, and he's very happy, and it worked out well. But Ben Karsten, who is 100% a scholarship level basketball player, who could help so many Division II teams in our region for sure, it's just been very slow. And when I talk to coaches, they're not sure if Division II is going to grant a 5th year. They're wondering who's going to be in the transfer portal. The days of colleges taking players and saying, oh, we're going to develop this guy, freshman year we'll redshirt him, sophomore year he'll be back end of the rotation, by his junior year he's going to start, by his senior year he's like, those days are done.
And he'll be at 3 schools by then.
Right, that's exactly right.
So will the coach.
Right. And so, we have guys who I look at over the course of my career and I'm like, this is the level he should be at. They're not getting to that level right now, and it is very frustrating, because I know Brock Long, Chase Duke, Ben Karsten, those guys are going to be able to help a school at any level, and it's just pretty quiet. Now, that might change as we get to the springtime and the pieces, start moving, and, oh, I'm going to need this guy. Oh, we lost this guy. But I will say it is very frustrating as a coach. It is very frustrating for a kid and for parents. Like, there's not a lot of answers.
Yeah. And it seems like there's, you used the word, we were talking off air, you used the word humility about a player in the sense that some guys have to realize, look, the kid who is in my exact same spot 5 years ago, I can't compare myself, because the landscape is completely different. And I may have to go to junior college, or I may have to go somewhere I really don't want to go to prove myself. But you may have to, as much as you thought you were proving yourselves your 3 or 4 years playing varsity high school basketball, then you really got to step it up, because now you're going against guys that have played at these smaller Division I schools to go to bigger ones.
Right. And I think that, I mean, you know, you can be a Division III guy for 2 years and get great film and move up to Division II. You can be an NAIA guy and move to Division I. You can be low Division I and say, I don't get to play much. I want to go play Division II. So the musical chairs start going. And yeah, I mean, essentially where I try to advise our guys now is to find a school you like, a campus you like, and a place you want to be. If you perform and decide you want to try to do something at a higher level, then by all means go do it. But it's hard sometimes. You hear people rip players for the constant transferring. Well, they didn't create the system. They didn't make up the game. And so I don't blame them if they believe that they can play in the Big 12 and they weren't recruited to the Big 12 and they end up in the Ohio Valley and then they prove after 2 years that, yep, I can play there. By all means, they should have the opportunity.
Yeah, agree with that. Certainly, they've earned it. I've got some issues with kids who recruit to one place and then go to the next place and then, you know, announce here and there at 3 schools in 3 days and all this stuff going on. But as we say, right now it's in the rules. You can do it. So people, and when I say people, that's players, coaches, administrations, they're going to take advantage of the opportunity, of course, that's out there. Look at the 2 teams who are in the college football championship game, and those are some very expensive rosters.
I've never thought I would hear the phrase 7th year senior.
Yes.
And you're like, 7th year senior, my goodness.
Yes. This 30-year-old with his 3 kids is coming out for his sophomore season.
Right.
Before I let you go, and thank you for coming in, I really appreciate talking with you and know you've got a busy schedule. You mentioned it. You've been at Vianney for a long time. You have a tremendous athletic director who I'm sure never wants to talk basketball with you, and my friend Mike Potsu. But Vianney is a very special place. Having been around it and not having been around it my whole life and spending the last 4 years around it a little bit, people really get into the community of it, and you see that with your basketball team, but really with the school at large.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, I say besides my immediate family, it's the most important thing in my life. And I've been a part of it since I was 14 years old. And you'll hear a lot of talk about the family spirit. And I just think our school, from teachers to administrators to students to parents, they all support one another. And in times of triumph and excitement, in times of struggle, our community is always there for each other, and it is a very special place, and it's really shaped and formed me not only as a teenager but also as an adult. It's had a major impact on my life.
I forgot one more question. How about the Ursuline girls basketball team? How's Abby Walsh doing?
My daughter's doing well. She's running the point for Ursuline. They were a Class 4 school and have had some postseason success. So they expected to jump up to Class 5, and somehow they jumped up to Class 6. So that was
quite a leap.
Hello, everybody. So they're going to be in a tough district, but they're having a good year. They're a fun team to watch, and she's enjoying playing over there.
Well, if you want to see some good high school basketball, check out a Vianney game. They'll be in action next up on Monday at 3:30, a rotating 8 tournament that they will host this year, and of course, great MCC conference action coming up later this year. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. It's been great getting to know you over the last several years, and I love watching you coach and just being around your team.
Well, I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for having me in. I seriously love what you do. We needed a little juice in our gym, and you have brought a lot of it, and I'm going to tell my wife you said nice things about that.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to be a part of it. We will take a quick break and we'll come back on the other side. Earl is going to join us from Philadelphia. We'll talk about high school basketball with Earl and also preview that game, which is coming up later today at 3:00. It's the Earl Austin Experience. It's presented by Fast Track Auto Transport. And we're back with more after this on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com.
From Soulard to St. Charles, if people in the St. Louis area are talking about it,
the news got around, the talk of the town.
So are we, the Lou Information Station. Streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com.
Lunchtime just got a whole lot better at Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill. From mouth-watering wraps to loaded quesadillas to bold, flavor-packed sandwiches, Hot Shots has something fresh every single day, along with your favorite wings, burgers, and pizza that you know and love. And don't sleep on those Hot Shots tacos. Plus, if you gotta be in and out quick for lunch, Hot Shots has you covered every day starting at 11 a.m. Find your nearest Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill now at hotshotsnet.com. That's hotshotsnet.com.
Fast Track Auto Transport has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable service across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions for individuals, dealerships, fleets, and businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives our customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping a single car or managing a large fleet, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for over 25 years. The trusted way, the safe way, the Fast Track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004.
This is Mizzou wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr.
And I'm Mizzou linebacker Josiah Trotter.
When we hit the field, we have each other's back.
And off the field, we got James Carlton, State Farm covering us.
Thanks, fellas. Nothing beats college football season and nothing beats saving money. Just by getting a quote from our office and mentioning Mizzou, we'll make a donation to support Mizzou's will to win push on your behalf. No strings attached.
So you're supporting the team just by checking your rates. Doesn't get any easier than that.
It's so easy. Check them out online at carltoninsurance.net. MIZZOU.
Let's talk about your health insurance. There are a lot of reasons why people need affordable health insurance. But here's the bottom line. You know you need affordable health insurance. For you, a spouse, a family member, whatever. I'm going to give you a free hotline to call to find affordable health insurance that can cover all your health insurance needs in case you get sick or have an emergency. Plus, cover vision, dental, and more. And there are no long-term commitments. You can keep your plan as long as it's affordable. And for the price of a cup of coffee. We're not talking about one of those fancy coffees. For the price of a regular cup of coffee a day, you can have quality, affordable health insurance. Call the health insurance hotline for a free quote.
800-373-8414. 800-373-8414. 800-373-8414. That's 800-373-8414.
I'm Big Toe Media President Dave Greene, and for the last few months, I've been telling you about what makes Home Bank different. Local people, local decisions, and real relationships. So let me take that a step further. When you walk into Home Bank, you're not walking into a system, you're walking into a conversation. This is a bank that understands St. Louis because they're part of it. The people making decisions live here, work here, and invest back into the same communities you do. That matters, especially when you need answers, flexibility, and a partner you can trust. Big banks can make promises. Home Bank builds relationships. If you're ready for a smarter, more personal banking experience, I'd encourage you to start that conversation today with Home Bank, the team behind our team. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC. More than a bank, they're your business partner.
You've seen this. It's brand new. Are you online?
Oh, hey. Oh, so you're new here.
All right, let's get cracking.
Okay, then maybe you should check out our website.
You're insane.
Well, you download songs illegally from the internet.
LouInfo.com. LouInfo.com. The Lou Information Station. 590 AM KLIS, Wood River, St. Louis.
Our origin story begins.
9:40 in St. Louis on a dreary Saturday morning. Good morning to you. If you're just waking up with us, my name is Dave Greene, in for Earl Austin, who we will talk with momentarily. He is out in Philadelphia, where the Billikens will take on LaSalle later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock. My thanks to Vianney head basketball coach Kevin Walsh for joining me in that first hour. 12-1 on the season for the Vianney Griffins. And as I mentioned, they will next play on Monday in a rotating 8 tournament. The MCC is going to be an outstanding conference to watch, as it usually is this year, with the top teams, of course, in the area. De Smet, Chaminade, Vianney, 3 of those, and always competitive every night in the MCC. Some breaking sports news. The Atlanta Falcons have announced the hiring of Matt Ryan as their new president of football. Their former quarterback, now upstairs in the front office. So all these guys broadcasting or going to be in the front office, or sometimes you're Tom Brady and you do both. So we'll see what happens with Matt Ryan. Hey, this show is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport. They've been a trusted dealer in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable services across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions, whether you're an individual, a dealership, fleets, businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, which is an issue in that business, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives their customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping one car, if you're traveling, say, to Florida and you need to just ship your car down there, or if you're managing that large fleet at a dealership, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for over 25 years. The trusted way, the safe way, the Fast Track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. Good Vianney fans there at Fast Track Auto Transport as well. Well, as mentioned, the man whose name is on the title of this show, Earl Austin Jr., joins us now from Philadelphia, where the Billikens will take on LaSalle later this afternoon. Hello, Earl. Good morning to you.
Good morning, David. How are you today?
I am doing well. Just had a great conversation with my friend and yours, Kevin Walsh, the head basketball coach at Vianney. And as we mentioned last night, De Smet beat Chaminade. Chaminade beat Vianney. Vianney beat De Smet. Just be another ho-hum year in the MCC, right?
Just another ho-hum year. It's just great basketball. I was at the Vianney Smet game in the championship of the Coaches versus Cancer Classic, and it was a remarkable performance by Kevin's kids. They were down 12, cut it to 1 at halftime, and just shot the cover off the ball, 13 threes. Mamadou was blocking shots, and it was a great atmosphere, and it was a great win. And last night, equally a great win for De Smet last night. I had a chance to watch much of that game. Will Folk was tremendous last night. Junior guard had 27 points, and they made their free throws down the stretch. So that's a big win to go into Chaminade's building and win a big conference game.
Absolutely. And we've got some great high school basketball coming up tonight. Probably maybe the only thing you're sad about being out of town with the Billikens is the Highland Shootout is tonight. That is going to be a heck of an event, and I should say the sold-out Highland Shootout.
Yeah, it's always one of the best events of the year. Matt Powers just does a great job of putting together a great lineup of teams, not only from St. Louis, Metro, Illinois side, but bringing in top talent from around the country. And yeah, the Billikens are always playing in action, so it's going to be good. Unfortunately, it may have taken a hit last night. You know, obviously the marquee game is East St. Louis versus Principia last night. But what happened at the end of the East St. Louis Belleville West game, there was a little skirmish, and Jamison White, the star forward of East St. Louis, was ejected. And he had 31 points and 16 rebounds in the game. And it's very, to put it mildly, it's very controversial, very dubious. I watched it on tape, what happened, and looked like he got knocked over, and then bodies came in, and he was kind of just standing there, really didn't react. And then one of the officials just kind of walked all the way to the other end and just banged him with 2 technicals and kicked him out of the game, which means he may not be able to play. He won't be able to play tonight. So if that stands, Jamison White won't be playing in probably the biggest regular season game of the year, that shootout, the feature game. So we'll see if there's the recourse. If there's no recourse, then that would be a shame, because just looking at what happened, nothing looked like warranted anything other than just separate players. So that would be a shame if he were to miss that game because of what at least what I saw on the tape. But that being said, you got Deshaun, you got Webster Groves against Inglewood, Scotty Atkinson against Jason Crow Jr. Wow, what a deal that's going to be. Chaminade against Logan Rogersville. Logan Rogers, one of the top teams in the state, led by Chase Branham and obviously Chaminade. Very good team as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun. You mentioned that East St. Louis Principia game at 6:00, and hopefully they will get that situation straightened out, and the Penn State commit Jamison White will be able to play, but we'll see what happens. Principia has been quite the story over the last couple of years, and what Jay Blossom has done there.
Jay has done a remarkable job, kind of brought him out of retirement, and in short order, not only did they become the most talented team in the state this year, but really burst onto the national scene with what they did a couple of weeks ago at the City of Palms tournament. They finished in third place. They beat three teams that were all ranked in the top 20. Wheeler out of Marietta, Georgia was ranked number 4. They beat them in the second round. They beat Columbus, Georgia, who was top 10 at the time in the first round, and lost to Paul Six out of Virginia, who was ranked number 1 in the semis, where they led virtually the whole game until the fourth quarter. So they came back and beat Bartlett. So Jay's got a loaded team, but they're playing at the top of their game. Then the following week, they went to Jefferson City and won a Grade 8 tournament, which is a mix of teams from Missouri and around Kentucky, Indiana, different parts of the country. So, of course, Quentin Coleman has been fantastic this year, but it's a pretty loaded team, and Jay's got them really playing well together as well.
And then a lot of Mizzou fans, as you mentioned, will be interested in that 7:30 game with a couple of Mizzou commits. Number 3 nationally, Jason Crow Jr., who is a senior and, of course, headed to Missouri next year. And then Scotty Atkinson from Webster Groves. I had a chance to see Scotty play a couple times last year. He is an impressive young man as well. So Mizzou fans following the recruiting will be interested in that great matchup, which will finish off the shootout tonight.
It's going to be great. Like I say, Jason Crow, the all-time scoring leader in the state of California, over 4,000 points. I think he's averaging about 40 a game, something like that. Yeah, kids a bucket. And from just a tremendous scoring threat. And then Scotty, obviously, he kind of does the same thing for Webster Groves. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Missouri as a sophomore last year, and led Webster to a state championship. And he's elevated his play from last year. As good as he was last year, he's even better this year because he's consistently knocking down three-point shots. And he always attacked the rim relentlessly on the drive. And he's had some big games, 40, 38. He's kind of doing in big games. They went to Oregon the same time Principia was at City of Palms. They went to a big game, a big time tournament in Portland, Oregon. And they were 2-2, but Scotty averaged north of 30 points a game in all 4 games and really put on a show.
Wow. Well, speaking of putting on a show, the Billikens, Earl, have been putting on a show all season long. Really, truly one of the top teams in America. The Billikens, sitting at 14-1, will take on LaSalle on the road today. Never easy to win an A-10 road game, but LaSalle 5-11 on the season. And you and Bob Ramsey will have the call on the radio side. How about this? Steve Schlanger on the call on television. It's like an all St. Louis thing.
It's always good to see Steve. We see him a couple of times a year on the road, and when he's doing the TV side, and it's always he's doing a great job. And he's made it to St. Louis a few times too over the years, and to call Billiken games here at Chaffetz. So it'll be fun. It's going to be this is a real good test for the Billikens because obviously you're coming off a kind of a historic win for the Billikens on Wednesday at Richmond to beat VCU for the first time at the Siegel Center. It was a statement win, obviously for the first time ever, but also was a quad 1 road win, and it just kind of lifted the Billikens more into the national spotlight for people who had questions about the first start and our schedule. But that was a big win for them. But to follow up, now you're playing against a LaSalle team that obviously there's not as much fanfare, but they're coming off a big road win. Same night they won at Rhode Island, and it was the first big A-10 win for new coach Darius Nichols, and they'll be ready. So I think what Josh Schertz said in our post game after the game, he said the VCU game was a test of our toughness, because obviously it's tough to win there, our mental toughness. But he said this game here at LaSalle will be a test of our maturity. How do you handle, the accolades and the success that comes along with winning at VCU and the 14-1 record? How do you handle that and the focus going into this game? Because it's just as dangerous, because like you said, it's an A-10 road game. Anytime you go into somebody else's building in conference play, it's not an easy thing. So they got to be ready, just as ready and prepared, and we got to play with the same defensive intensity that we saw on Wednesday night in Richmond. So we're going to pull this one out.
Yeah, you can see this being a little bit of a trap game, but it almost seems like that's not something Josh Schertz would allow, or this team. I mean, they play really, really well together and seem like this is a bunch that is just on a mission.
It really is. You could just, even if you watched them, when we watched them in practice going back to the summer, this guy, they really got some dudes. I mean, they got competitors. They got guys with a lot of toughness mentally and physically, and they've bought into playing for each other, not playing with each other, but they play for one another. And you saw that in different iterations, like in that conference opener against St. Joe's. We've seen how they move the ball well, and when at their best offensively, the ball is popping, guys are attacking the rim, and we're shooting the ball from 3-point range, hit 19 threes. But in that other game, the next game, the shots weren't falling. It was a defensive slugfest. I mean, it was the most physical game we played, but they played tough physical defense. And whenever VCU made a run and the crowd really got into it, really got juiced, they had a good response each time. And that's something that hadn't happened over the years. And when they finally took the lead for the first time, Omari McCautry hits the three, and we closed it on a 10-0 run. So that showed a different kind of mental toughness that we haven't seen since Richmond over the years. So, yeah, it's exciting to watch. And when they play D and rebound, it really helps.
I was talking with Kevin Walsh about, the recruitment of his son, Luke, who ended up at SIU Carbondale, and the changes in recruiting and NIL and everything that's going on. How does SLU sit? How do they fit into all of this? It's, you have your some coaches who say, hey, I'm not going to use the transfer portal. I'm going to go get the freshmen because now they're available. How do you see SLU sort of fitting into this new world we're in right now in college basketball?
They did a good job of getting the best of both worlds. They got 5 good players out of the portal, and they did their homework. They wanted guys that really fit their culture, and they wanted guys who just, they were productive players. Most of them came from, it was a combination of guys from Power 5, and then obviously Paul Otieno from Quinnipiac as well. But then at the same time, you brought in 3 or 4 really, really good freshmen who are, 2 of them are redshirting right now, Badara Diakate and Luke Laskowski, who are long, athletic, and then Jax Kerr, a 6'11" kid who plays limited minutes, but he's a 4-star big man. So you're bringing in Cam Hudson as well, 6'6" guard out of Michigan. So you're bringing in guys who are coming in right away from the portal who can play, and then you're bringing in you're bringing in 4 freshmen who probably in other years would be playing a lot of minutes, but you really don't need them to be heavy contributors right away. It's kind of an old school deal here, but they're going to be really good players in Billiken uniforms if they continue to commit and develop over the years.
Yeah, you really, as a coach now, have to lock in that relationship with those kids, because I cannot imagine. We knew how difficult it was to recruit, period. But now you not only have to recruit your new players, you have to recruit all of your old players every single day. That has to just weigh on the coaches so much.
Yeah, it's almost like a junior college now, because you're recruiting year to year. That's what a lot of coaches tell me. It's like year to year, because every year you're going to have 5, 6, and then some teams 11, 12, a whole new team coming in. And that's never been the case. That's more like what the junior colleges are when you're bringing in new guys.
Earl will be on the call later on this afternoon. Game time is 3 o'clock here Central Time. Earl and Bob Ramsey will have the call on KMOX at 104.1 FM. As we mentioned, USA Network will carry the game on television with St. Louis and Steve Schlanger on the call. Earl, I had one last question for you because I was reading all about how long you and Rammer have been together on those broadcasts. And of course, Earl, Bob celebrating 40 years. You've been there 35. Here's a question I don't know the answer to. Who did you replace as the color analyst for the Billikens?
Malcolm Briggs.
Okay.
And then what happened was I was still doing stats in some of the games. And then Malcolm was hired when the Rams came. Malcolm was hired by the Rams. And that's when I became full-time on it. I had always been part of the broadcast, and Malcolm we split because Malcolm had St. Louis Rams duties. But when he became full-time Rams, and I became full-time Billikens.
St. Louis sports broadcasting history. And speaking of that, in our next hour, we have Ron Jacober coming in. So we'll talk a lot about St. Louis local broadcasting. So I'm looking forward to that. Earl, have a great call today. Good luck to the Billikens in Philadelphia.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. That is Earl Austin Jr. Of course, this is his show, the Earl Austin Experience, and I thank him for letting me sit in on his show. It's brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport, St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. The Easy second hour is coming up next. That's when the Hall of Famer Ron Zetcher will join us. And as we mentioned, our guest this week is the Hall of Famer himself, Ron Jacober. We'll do that and more when we come back after this break. How much longer do I have? Do I go now? I can do it whenever I want, Ryan says. So we're back after this on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com.
Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill has a new menu. Hot Shots favorites are still there, like their famous wings, tacos, burgers, and pizzas. Plus, sure to be new faves like Big Philly Egg Rolls, the Bold and Hearty Slugger Sandwich, the Buffalo Chicken Pizza, and 2 new wing sauces, Carolina Gold and Bourbon Glaze. And making a comeback, it's the return of Hot Shots' legendary waffle fries. So now there's even more to love at Hot Shots. Come try out the new menu at Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill. Find the location nearest you at hotshotsnet.com.
Hey, listen to me. I'm one of the credit cards in your wallet. I'm about to explode and pop like a balloon. You're using me and my brothers way too much. Your credit cards aren't the only ones annoyed. It's your paycheck that doesn't have enough to pay everything. Save your credit cards, your paycheck, and yourself a lot of PAIN. Pain. Call the debt helpline now. Not tomorrow, right now. Our experts will show you how you can cut your interest rates and your payments on your credit cards in half. Credit card companies have special assistance programs designed to help you. Make this 100% free call right now and learn how you could get out of credit card debt. Here's the number.
800-406-6569. 800-406-6569. 800-406-6569. That's 800-406-6569. Paid for by Zero Debt.
St. Louis sports fans, now you can go deeper with STL Sports Central Insiders. Get exclusive access to Bernie Miklasz, Randy Carricker, Mike Claiborne, Jamal Mayers, and more. Plus, your chance to watch a Blues game in the alumni box with Jamal himself. Also, monthly giveaways, Bernie's columns all week, and you'll be supporting local sports media. Join now at stlsportscentral.com.
The Lou Information Station, 590 AM KLIS, Wood River, St. Louis.
Venezuela has been working with the U.S.
We're dealing with them very well. I think they've been very smart in the way they've dealt with us, frankly, because that whole place could have been obliterated with one more strike, and we didn't want to do that.
The president said a decision will be made soon on which oil companies will take part in the project. The meeting comes after the U.S. military captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Trump said getting drilling back underway in Venezuela will benefit both countries and said he plans to meet with the Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, as well.
She's coming in sometime next week, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. and we'll see how that is. But no, we're dealing with the people from Venezuela.
The president also spoke about the possible takeover of Greenland.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor.
Greenland has long been a self-governing Danish territory that sits between the U.S. and Europe, and the president said he would like to make a deal.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
The 83rd annual Golden Globes will be handed out tomorrow night in Beverly Hills. Big names expected: Seth Rogen, Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ariana Grande, just to mention a few. Some of the films up for a nod include Sinners, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Bugonia, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Marty Supreme. And in case you missed it, Indiana is headed to the College Football Playoff National Championship for the first time in school history. Top-seeded Hoosiers blew out number 5 Oregon 56-22 in the Peach Bowl from Atlanta last night. America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Business owners, are you paying high phone bills for old school systems and lousy service? StrongTel cuts your phone bills in half and turns every phone you own into a feature-rich business system. Sean Roddy, CEO of Hennings Brothers Drilling, had this to say: "We've been a StrongTel customer for over 10 years. It's great. It even includes an intercom with video to our equipment yard. I can watch live from anywhere with my smartphone. I'd recommend StrongTel to anyone. Never miss a customer call again with your StrongTel business system. StrongTel is a proud iTex partner and always welcomes your iTex dollars. You'll get award-winning StrongTel service, a business-class phone system, and cut your phone bill in half. Visit strongtel.com. That's StrongTel, StrongTel.com. StrongTel.
Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing a healthcare CEO in Midtown Manhattan 2 years ago, was back in federal court last week.
The judge heard Luigi Mangione's lawyers argue for 2 gun-related charges to be dropped, while prosecutors want the charges to stay and pushing for this to be a death penalty case, which is not what Mangione's lawyers or his supporters outside the courthouse want.
It is a punishment that should not exist. If there is punishment, it's got to allow a chance for change.
Well, a Manhattan federal judge scheduled another hearing for the end of the month and said jury selection could start in September if this is not a death penalty case. But if it is, the trial could get pushed back to next year. I'm Levon Putney.
Meanwhile, across town in the nation's largest city, the iconic Rockefeller Center tree goes dark this weekend, but that doesn't mean its life is over.
In early December, 50,000 LED lights come to life atop the 75-foot Norway spruce, kicking off the holiday season and dazzling hundreds of thousands of guests from around the globe. But once those lights go out, the tree takes part in yet another special tradition. The tree is cut down, its lumber milled in New Jersey into 2x4 and 2x6 beams, all branded with the Rockefeller Center stamp. Tishman Speyer, Rockefeller Center's parent company, then donates the lumber to Habitat for Humanity. Those beams soon become part of Habitat family homes built everywhere from New York to Mississippi. Liz Warner, NBC News Radio, New York.
Chuck Brady, USA Radio News.
iLocal.net is offering a free website analysis to improve the online presence of your business. Business owners across the U.S. turn to iLocal.net to improve their search engine rankings. Search engines are constantly changing their algorithms. You need the professionals who know how to use those changes to benefit your business. Don't hope for new customers. Get found and be chosen. Visit iLocal.net/go for your free website analysis. iLocal.net/go.
What are you so happy about? I'm on the pill. Aren't you two a bit old to worry about having more kids?
Not her, me.
You lost me there, buddy.
Steelman pills. Things weren't always looking up, if you catch my drift. So my doctor prescribed me a little something.
Like Viagra?
Yeah, but that's expensive, and it wasn't covered by my insurance. Steelman pills cost me less than $3 a pill, and virtually the same effect. I just called and got over 40 pills for only $99.
I have this friend who might be looking and...
Well, if your friend wants some help, the consultation is free over the phone. No clinic. Steelman Pill sends it in the mail in a confidential package.
I'm on it. I mean, my friend will be on it.
Steelman Pills, going the extra mile to help men with erectile dysfunction.
800-915-9371. 800-915-9371. 800-915-9371. That's 800-915-9371.
Hot Take Central 2.0.
Sports fans know it's really getting out of hand, man. It's going way out of control.
With Cam Jansen.
I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks.
And Jimmy the Cat Hayes.
You're a legend in the city, moving by day instead of night.
Weekday mornings from 8 to 10.
Hell yeah.
Only on the Lou Information Station. Streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. Hot Take Central 2.0.
This whole situation is getting out of control.
10:06 on a Saturday morning, and I don't know if I'm worthy to even be in the studio that I am in. It is the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com. My name is Dave Greene, in for Earl Austin Jr., who's on assignment with the Billikens in Philadelphia. They'll tip against LaSalle at 3 o'clock. Flying Ryan Swingler is here, and to my right are two Hall of Famers. Ron Zetcher, who is here each week with Earl on the EZ Hour. Coach, good morning. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And let me just say this before we get started. I'm an amateur. I'm sitting next to a professional,
Well,
Mr. Ron Jacob.
You are both Hall of Famers. Ron, it is great to see you. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Good to see you, Dave. It's been a while.
It has been a while. There are two people whose voices I have locked in my head as voices that I could, as the great Randy Jackson used to say, listen to them read the phone book.
Well,
and
very kind.
those two people are Ron Jacober and the wonderful former voice of the Missouri Tigers, Bill Wilkerson. Those are the two voices that make me think of St. Louis sports broadcasting.
I get that a lot. People remember the voice. If they don't remember you, they remember the voice, But it was almost 50 years on the air.
50 years.
At Channel 5 and a short stop at KXOK, which was pretty much a disaster. And then back to KMOX. My first full-time job in broadcasting was at KMOX.
Wow.
And it's a long story. I won't go into how I got into that because I had a journalism degree in college. When I got out of college in the Army, I went into public relations. And very briefly, I was a young brat, and in the fall of that year, I worked for the Auto Club of Missouri.
Okay.
And I was calling on radio stations around the metropolitan area with a public service campaign, Drive Safely, Schools Open. And I was calling on WIBV in Belleville.
Sure.
And the general manager, after I made my pitch, said, "You did some radio work, didn't you?" And I said, "Well, not really. I had a one-hour course in college as a lark." He said, "It was like a part-time job." I said, "When?" He said, "How about tonight?" Well, I did it tonight, but my wife's in the studio, and I came home, and they offered me weekends. So I started driving to Belleville every weekend and still worked at the Auto Club during the week. So that's how it all started. And the legendary Bob Hardy, the newsman at KMOX, lived over there, and he heard me. I was about ready to say working 7 days a week is a little too much, but I did enjoy that. He said, "We're looking for a part-time weekender at KMOX. Would you be interested?" Well, it was like God calling me. And that's how it all started. So it was the first full-time job at KMOX.
Wow. And to have Coach Zetcher and to have Ron Jacober here in the J. Randolph Jr. studios means a lot. Because
I think he missed a lot of calls when I was doing the Metro Conference telecast. So Oscar Roberts and I said, "Who is this guy? Can he blow the whistle?"
he's complaining about Coach Zetcher's officiating.
Well, listen, let me just say this, and I'm gonna give Mr. Jacober a thank you again. I thanked him at the time it happened, and he interviewed me the night that I was inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. And what a night that was, because it was a brutal snowstorm and everything else. And that induction that night started about an hour later. And my wife at the time is driving me there, and I'm just giving her the what? Come on, girl! I'm supposed to be inducted tonight. We're not going to ever get there. And she said, "Well, I'm driving, so you just sit back and shut up."
Shut the hell up.
I do remember that night, and trying to get to that event was very interesting.
And I really appreciate all the nice things that you said, Ron, that night. And also, speaking of Hall of Fames, Mr. Jacober.
In a few.
You're in about 5 or 6 of them.
6 of them, yeah. I don't know why, but I am. But the last one was really the neatest one. It was the Missouri Broadcasters Hall of Fame. They did the Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay.
And I went in with Joe Buck. I said, well, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Who's getting ready to go into a bigger Hall of Fame here soon.
I'm happy. I'm really happy about that because he is really good. I worked with Jack a lot, and in some ways, Joe's better. I think he's better on television than Jack was. Jack was a radio guy.
Radio, yeah.
He really was a radio guy. And when he went to the TV side for CBS, he was not very comfortable. It was scripted and all that. Jack didn't like scripted show. But Joe is really good, yeah.
Yeah.
He is really good.
You spent many years, obviously, at KSDK doing the sports on Channel 5. And then, as you mentioned, the many years at KMOX. You've also done play-by-play, so many things. What did you enjoy the most?
Well, that's a good question. I enjoyed doing good interviews. And we used to have a lot of young people come through, interns or part-timers or producers. And I would preach to them, learn how to interview, because most schools don't teach it. They don't teach it. A lot of guys would go, or gals would go interviews with a set number of questions in their head, and they won't even listen to the person interviewing. I used to preach all the time. Listen to the person you're interviewing, because the odds are the next best question is going to come from something they just said. So I enjoyed good interviews. I did thousands of interviews, and most of them were not memorable at all. But there were some that people remember, like Muhammad Ali and the Harry Carey story. And
tell them the Harry Carey story. It's awesome, Ron. Come on.
Well, there was a rumor. Well, I knew things going on with Harry. The rumors going on with Harry. Let me put it that way. And we had a rumor that the marketing committee at Anheuser-Busch was making the decision on Harry. So they sent me down to the brewery that morning with the marketing committee, and I'm with a camera crew. This was Channel 5. And the elevator doors opened, and a guy named Al Fleischman walked out.
Sure.
Al Fleischman Hilliard, who was Gussie Bush's right-hand and left-hand man when it came to anything with the media. He looked at me and said, "Son," he always called me son. "Son, why are you here?" I said, "Well, we understand there was going to be a decision on Harry." He said, "If that ever happens, it'll be announced at the appropriate time." Half hour later, it was on KMOX because Fleischman and Bob Hyland were buddies. So they sent me looking for Harry. We knew some of his watering holes. At 3:00 in the afternoon, I found it at Bush's Grove on Clayton Road. And Harry had one or two by that time. He was with 3 or 4 of his cronies. And I walked in. He said, "Ron, have a Schlitz." They held this can of Schlitz up. They didn't sell Schlitz at Bush's Grove. They had to send a guy out to buy a few 6-packs of Schlitz because Harry wanted Schlitz as his way of protesting. So I said, "No, Harry, thank you. Will you do an interview?" Yeah, and he agreed to do it. So we sat him down in front of this beautiful fireplace. And he had the Schlitz can by his head. I said, "Will you put the can down, Harry?" "No, I won't do the interview if I have to put the GD can down." I said, "Okay." So it was lethal. I mean, it was on fire in interview. Turns out I was the only media person that found him that day. So a guy named Dick Deacon was the photographer at Channel 5. We drove like crazy down Highway 40 back to the station downtown. And we were still filmed, believe it or not, in those days, before they went to video. Lab time was 45 minutes. So I'm standing back in projection about 6:15, and they hand me the film like it was almost still dripping, came out of the developer. And I said to the producer in the booth, "What do you want to do with it?" He said, "Rack it up and roll it from the top."
Oh, wow.
And I knew we could do that because there was no profanity. But I said, "You sure you want to do this?" "Yeah." So they played 7 or 8 minutes of it, I guess, on 6:00 news that night. At 6:35, the phone rings in sports. It's Al Fleischman. He said, "Son, you have any idea how much money Anheuser-Busch spends on Channel 5? I said, "No, sir." He said, "I suggest you find out. I also strongly suggest you don't use that interview again at 10. So, well, this bigger than I was. I called the general manager at home. guy named Ray Karpowitz. Oh, that was a great interview. Oh, congratulations. You got the hey, wait a minute.
Whoa.
Guess who just called? Al Weisman. Oh my God. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? He told me not to play it again. I said, what are we gonna do? We're playing again at 10. We had a half-hour newscast at midnight in those days. We played again at midnight. We played again the next day. And my name for a substantial period of time with Anheuser-Busch was not taken kindly. Harry, when I would visit with him, said, I made you famous. I said, no, Harry, you made me infamous.
Yes.
But it was in his book. The slit scan story was in his book. But,
well, Ron, let me ask you this. When you spent a lot of time with Jay Randolph, and you can look the sign right up there, which is a beautiful sign, the Jay Randolph Jr. Studio. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Jay and what a wonderful lifetime experiences you had with him.
Yeah, Jay was like my brother. We worked together so much. But my wife Lois is in the studio here, and she knows that our whole life revolves around Jay's schedule. And he get a call on Tuesday from NBC. We want you to do this golf tournament or this football game, whatever. So I went through periods of time when I'd work 25, 30 days in a row because of Jay. But we were really close. We had one argument in 18 years.
Which horse? Which horse were you arguing about?
No, it happened to be a payroll because I thought that we were in negotiations with on our after contract with the general manager, and Jay was in the room, and I counted up how many sportscasts I did during that previous year, and he wasn't aware I did that. It was over 500 on Channel 5, and he got upset with me because I did more sportscasts than he did. That's the only time we had any words at all. Other than that, oh, he's wonderful. He's still a good friend. I still talk to him once in a while. He's not doing too good physically, but mentally he's still fine. Jake, he'll endorse us. Couldn't write a lick. I had to write most of the scripts, and I can say this too. He loved the ponies.
Yes,
he used to go to Fairmount Park, and he would tell me, all right. Well, he would pre-write as much of the 10 o'clock as he could about 5 in the afternoon. So after the 6 o'clock, he'd hightail it over to Fairmount, have dinner, bet the first 3 races or so and come back. Well, a couple of nights he almost didn't make it. There was a train that came back. And he told me, he said, no, I promised Sue, his wife, I promised her I wouldn't go to the track for 6 weeks. But you can't tell I'm going over there tonight.
Well,
he was a good buddy.
Hey, Jay, he spent a lot of time over there with Big Mike, huh?
Yes, I was just going to bring up Shannon as well.
Yeah, they were pretty close. They were buddies. Mike was not my best friend, but we had an encounter or two. But Mike was fine. But they were really close. When they'd go on the road with the Cardinals to the West Coast, L.A. or whatever, finish the game in Dodger Stadium and get on a shuttle to Vegas. They'd be up all night in Vegas and somehow get back to LA the next day for the game. But yeah, they were really tight. Yeah. Mike was a good guy. He was just his own guy.
Yes,
he was. I was a
much.
teammate. I was a teammate of Mike's. In the summer before our senior year, we played on the same American Legion baseball team. And I thought I could throw a football pretty well, Jay. So it was our last practice before football. And we finished our practice at Forest Park. And Mike U City and CBC shared that Legion team together. Okay, those were the 2 schools. So Mike pulled out a bag of footballs, I remember, out of his car. And his CBC buddies and him, they're going to start throwing that football around, see? And I stood there for about maybe 20 seconds, and I thought, buddy, you're pretty good. No, not like that good. That guy, he was throwing that football around there, and you know how good he was when he went down to Missouri. If he had stayed there, who knows what could have been maybe a Heisman Trophy.
Well, he says he could have won the Heisman.
Yeah, you're right, Jay.
But
Joe,
but he was. He was a great athlete.
Yeah, I think
really
Frank Broyles actually has endorsed that
Yeah.
he could have been
He could have been the Heisman.
Heisman level.
Because in those days, freshmen didn't play
Right.
varsity, so we'll never know. But he was a terrific athlete. But he got the. I was going to the same doctor. He was the doctor that found the kidney disease called nephritis, and it really ended his career. He couldn't play anymore. Tried to come back, and he ballooned up to well over 300 pounds because of the medication.
Mm.
And that's when the Cardinals put him in the front office and tried to teach him how to be a broadcaster. His prime, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
His prime was pretty good. But yeah, Mike was good. Mike, people love Mike. People love Mike. And
did Jack Buck do a lot to help him in the
maybe early on, but later in life they didn't get along too well. I can tell this now because they're both gone.
Go ahead.
But Jack came in the studio one day, or the sports office, and Jack rarely used profanity, but he went off on Mike. He said, "I don't make enough money to work with that." He said on and on, just ripped him. And I don't know what happened, but they late in life they didn't get along very well, to the point that they didn't speak to each other while they were both in the broadcast booth on the games. When one would be on, the other would leave the booth. And it got to the point that Mike Rorty, head broadcast guy, executive at Anheuser-Busch, and Bob Hyland had a meeting, got them together, said, "You guys have to get along on the air." But I was in the booth when McGuire hit 61 because there was no other place to sit.
Yes.
The press box was loaded.
Yeah, loaded.
As you know. And Mike made the call. And between the half innings, Jack looked over at Mike, put his arm around him, said, "Mike, I'm glad you got to make the call." And Jack had a tear running down his. That was a nice man hug. They got along late in life pretty well. I think Jack made peace with a lot of people, including Mike, when he knew that didn't have all that much more time to live.
Ron, I'll tell you what I saw Jack Buck do more than once. His grandsons played freshman football for me at Ladue, and Jack tried to make every one of those games that he could. And when he would get there, a freshman game, you don't have a whole lot of crowd. You have all the families and that. And he would sit as far away from the crowd as possible, not to take attention away from his grandsons.
He was a very generous guy. We'd have an intern or a young producer working sports, and Jack would be there, and Jack would walk in, and they'd shake hands, and they'd find a 50 or 100 in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And one young lady chased him to the elevator one night, tried to give it back to him. He was very, very generous, man. When we'd go out after a Cardinal telecast, and I worked with him on a number of them, after a game to a restaurant, because all those guys love to go to dinner after the games, you could never pick up a check. Jack somehow always got to the maitre d', and he always paid the check. Now, he had a lucrative expense account with the brewery and I guess with KMOX, but still, he incredibly generous guy. I loved him. He was terrific. He was so good to me. Anytime I would ask him for advice, he would give it to me if he thought he should. Otherwise, he'd say, "Do whatever you think is right." Because there were 3 sports directors there for the last 65 years. Jack, me, and Tom Ackerman. And I was pretty proud of that.
Yes. Remarkable.
Well, it's plenty to be proud of. Now, listen, let's look here. Look at, my goodness. So you did World Series, you did Super Bowls, you did the Stanley Cup, NCAA Final Four, 2000 Olympics in Sydney. My goodness.
That was a prime assignment. I was really happy with that. I never worked harder in my life because when I got there, I worked really Westwood One, CBS.
Right.
And we were in the Westwood One, and CBS bought the radio rights from NBC. So we were in the NBC compound, and this broadcast compound was just phenomenal. It was such a big facility. Every major network in the world was in this building. And I thought later, what a terrorist target this would have been. But anyway, they said, "We want you to be the update guy." I said, "Okay, tell me about it." Well, you got to do 3 updates an hour at 16 past, 31 past, 46 past, exactly 3 minutes, and 12 hours a day. Ooh, that's a lot of updates.
36.
Now, I had a producer helping because we had people in the venues and with reports and things like that. But it was a challenge. But it was so much fun to be in that environment. I'd walk down the hall and see Costas, and we'd visit a bit, but it was we stayed in Olympic Village, in a media village, which is about 10 miles from the Olympic Village, and it was on the side of an old mental hospital. Well, that was appropriate.
Perfect place.
But the media in the mental hospital. But they built these whole series of Quonset hut type things. There were 8 bedrooms, 4 on each side, and you shared a bathroom with the one next to you. I don't know how many they had. So we had to take a bus every day from the media village to the Olympic Village. And I would get up early some mornings because I'd work like noon to midnight, something like that. So I could go in early and see some stuff. I was locked in the studio. But I saw some basketball. I saw some gold medal things. But the Aussies were wonderful.
Yes.
Anytime you needed any question about anything, they would answer you and tell you directions. And I would kid them about how their English language was strange. I couldn't understand half their words. I did a couple of features on Cowboys because of the way they pronounce things. Yeah, that may have been the prime assignment, I guess, of my career. But it was great.
You've obviously been around for a lot of great St. Louis sports moments, as Ron mentioned as well, and very close with the Cardinal baseball team, obviously doing their games for many years. What are your thoughts on what's happening now with our baseball team?
Oh, well, you can put any label on you want, but it's a rebuild.
Yes.
I don't care what you call it, but that's what it is. They're moving on. Mosaic gone. I worked with him, but he was on with me every Sunday morning during baseball season. I knew him pretty well. I think the game kind of passed him by a little bit in terms of talent. Now, we don't know. I keep telling people this. We don't know what kind of restrictions he was under from ownership.
Right.
And we don't know what kind of budgets he was given. People say, well, they don't sign any expensive players. Well, maybe he's told we can.
Right.
You're not going to. You're not going to give that ludicrous $60 million contract to a left-handed pitcher who might get hurt.
Right.
So, we don't know about the new GM, but other than he's a very bright guy, comes with great credentials, but it's going to be his team now. But you're going to have to, it's going to be painful for a while.
Hey, Ron, how about the managers of the Cardinals that you dealt with? A lot of different personalities.
Oh, yeah. Some of my favorite people, really 3, I guess, or 4. I got to know Red really well early on. Red was from Germantown, Illinois. I was from Highland, Illinois. I used to kid him, I can hit Germantown with a 9-iron, Red. And but I liked Red very much. Red just let it play, basically. He never overmanaged. LaRussa and Whitey were totally opposite in terms of personalities, manager styles, but they were both very, very good at what they did. Players used to tell me Whitey is 3 or 4 innings ahead of everybody else. And I think he probably was. Where Tony was, I told him one time on the air, Tony, you got to smile more. Yeah, I know. That's what my wife said. You got to smile more. I said, well, come on, Tony. It's only a game. It's only a game. But I liked them both. They were both very, very smart managers. They understood players. They didn't buy into the analytics like they do now. They would have to now because management ownership forces it. The manager, I'm told, every day on his desk gets a pretty thick book with all the analyticals, and you got to pitch this guy that way, you got to play this guy there, and you don't really manage a team like you used to.
No, don't do a lot of things like we used to. I'm going to ask you about some Whitey stories when we come back from our break. But first, I need to remind everyone that the show is brought to you in part by our good friend Ben Newman, the nation's top continual peak performance coach. In fact, Ben was just on with Jim Rome. You may have seen some of the highlights on social media. Ben is not someone who co-signs on something unless he really believes in it. And he absolutely believes in the QLogic system designed to help business owners see the blind spots in their business. Most business owners, and boy, do I know that, are trapped by their own success. QLogic helps entrepreneurs build the infrastructure, systems, and teams that create genuine freedom. And QLogic has access to a network of businesses and resources. These are real connections and synergies that can accelerate what you're building. Business owners, take the first step. Here's what you do. Go to q-logics.com/Ben. That's q-logics.com/Ben. Take a free 5 to 10 minute assessment. Their team will research your situation personally and see if QLogics is the right fit to help your business. That's q-logics.com/Ben. And we thank Ben and QLogics for their support. It's the Earl Austin Experience, the easy second hour with Hall of Famer Ron Zetcher, and our guest is St. Louis broadcasting legend and Hall of Famer himself, Ron Jacober. And we'll be back with our second segment right after this on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com.
Fast Track Auto Transport has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over 25 years, providing reliable, affordable service across the U.S. Fast Track offers fast and safe transportation solutions for individuals, dealerships, fleets, and businesses of all sizes. The Fast Track team prides itself on honest communication, competitive pricing, and real-time tracking, which gives our customers peace of mind from pickup to delivery. Whether you're shipping a single car or managing a large fleet, Fast Track delivers a smooth, hassle-free experience every time. Come see why Fast Track Auto Transport has been St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs for over 25 years. The trusted way, the safe way, the Fast Track way. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. That's ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004.
This hour of content on the Lou Information Station is brought to you by Grandpa Pigeons, Johnny Mac's Sporting Goods, and Becky's Carpet and Tile Superstore.
Hey, see that, kids? That's the St. Louis Arch, the gateway to the west.
The Lou Information Station, where we'll always call it Highway 40 or Highway 40 if you're a boomer.
St. Louis expression?
Stream our content 24/7 at louinfo.com. The Lou Information Station.
St. Louis sports fans, now you can go deeper with STL Sports Central Insiders. Get exclusive access to Bernie Miklasz, Randy Carricker, Mike Claiborne, Jamal Mayers, and more. Plus, your chance to watch a Blues game in the alumni box with Jamal himself. Also, monthly giveaways, Bernie's columns all week, and you'll be supporting local sports media. Join now at stlsportscentral.com.
This is Mizzou wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr.
And I'm Mizzou linebacker Josiah Trotter.
When we hit the field, we have each other's back.
And off the field, we got James Carlton, State Farm covering us.
Thanks, fellas. Nothing beats college football season, and nothing beats saving money. Just by getting a quote from our office and mentioning Mizzou, we'll make a donation to support Mizzou's will to win push on your behalf. No strings attached.
So you're supporting the team just by checking your rates. Doesn't get any easier than that.
It's so easy. Check them out online at cartoninsurance.net. MIZZOU.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-891-6335. 800-891-6335. 800-891-6335. That's 800-891-6335.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision. It should not be based solely on advertisements.
Not sure how to get a lawyer after an accident? Call Brown and Crouppen. We'll walk you through it. Worried it'll cost too much? Here's a fact. At Brown and Crouppen, you pay nothing up front, and we never get paid unless you do. When you're our client, you'll have all your questions answered, all for free. Hurt? Get the facts and help you need. Call Brown and Crouppen now.
Hey everyone, Cam Jansen here to tell you about the experts at Fast Signs in Earth City. Fast Signs can handle any and all of your business visibility needs, from traditional signs and graphics to digital to core graphics and anything in between. Fast Signs in Earth City has you covered. The station uses them, the Blues use them, and you will love the work they do. Call 314-344-4400 for your custom signage needs today. That's Fast Signs in Earth City, 314-344-4400.
10:36 in St. Louis on a Saturday morning. It is the Earl Austin Experience here on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com. Our show is brought to you by Fast Track Auto Transport, St. Louis's go-to company for all your vehicle transport needs. Visit ftautotrans.com or call 636-677-9004. We have the Hall of Famer Ron Jacober in with us here today. Ron, of course, many years at KMOX. You can hear Earl on KMOX coming up later on this afternoon as he's in Philadelphia with the Billikens. 3 o'clock tip. Those Billikens have been on fire. What a great start for them.
You know, this might be the best Billiken team I've seen in my memory.
Yes.
I don't know how accurate that is, but I did their games for many years. They weren't very good most years. It's a very, very athletic team. They've scored over 100 points 5 times, I think.
Yes.
They didn't do 5 times in 20 years. But, yeah, they're really good. Now, the game has changed so much. The three-point shot has become it's changed the game dramatically. These kids, you got 6'10" kids shooting threes. What?
Yeah, it's the international influence of basketball. It's just, Ron, you saw it firsthand. I mean, just the way the game has changed through the years.
Without question, yeah.
The game has really changed. And, I was listening to your early morning session with the coach of
Kevin
Piani,
Walsh.
and it was a great session. And if I was in the studio at the time, I might have disagreed with a few things. I still think, and I'm not going to go all the way back to when I played. Or Pomerantz played, but when Stepanovic,
did they put air in the ball when you played?
No.
Well,
I'll tell you one thing. When I played with Pomerantz, the only thing I was told to do is get him the ball.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't do anything else. Just get out of his way. But I will tell you this: when Stepanovic and Dressler and the young Alcorn kid were at DeSmet,
yeah.
they could play with any team around here. Believe you me. That's just my opinion. I think there might be more teams today that are more highly skilled than that DeSmet team.
Well, you know what's changed it all, though? NIL and the portal. You can look at college football for that. Indiana by far is the best football team in the country, and they hold the record for losing the most Division I football games in history.
It's going to change everyone's expectation about how quickly your coach should turn your football program around.
How much money he has to spend.
That's it. Some people will say this is Mark Cuban against Phil Knight coming up in the championship game, which, by the way, the cheapest ticket currently is $4,200.
Doesn't surprise me. They're going to have to do something because there's got to be some kind of I don't know if I want to call it a salary cap, but some kind of a management thing. So the rich schools are just getting richer, and I don't know how a St. Louis U survives over the long haul because they don't have that kind of money. I know what their center is making, and it's substantial, but nothing like you see at other schools, other teams, and football is even worse. I've read there are high school quarterbacks who are paid $1.5 million in high school, so they'll go to a specific university. I mean, that's ludicrous.
Yeah, it's just trickling down too far.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about $5 and $6 million quarterbacks maybe next
yeah.
year in college football, and $30 to $40 million rosters. That's just crazy too fast, and they have got to figure something out. But nobody knows who it is who's going to.
Well, the courts let it happen, but the NCAA is useless. They've lost total control. The only thing they have control of is the Final Four in basketball. Really. They've lost total control of college sports.
Well, that's what Calipari said in his rant. You know, the NCAA is going to fix it. Who is the NCAA?
Yeah.
Who is this magical group you talk about?
It's the guys paying them $50 million for a quarterback.
Well, the four major conferences, I think, I don't know, I probably won't live to see it, but the four major conferences are eventually going to run college sports.
No doubt about that.
And then the St. Louis U's, unfortunately, and Dayton and all those schools, they will be with the NCAA as a minor league almost, and there won't be any money.
Well, look at the football thing. How does Southeast Missouri, how does SIU Carbondale, how do they survive in this environment? They can't pay those players. I'm sure they have some kind of a budget, but they can't. They
can't compete, and they'll have to bring it to, you know, where groups who can't compete at that level are competing against one another, because you're right, they won't compete against Miami's and the schools that will have these huge opportunities.
And you know, if a kid shows up at SIU Carbondale, for example, and he's really good,
he's gone.
He's gone. He's going in the portal. I had a coach tell me, we're recruiting all the time. We're recruiting our own players.
You have to
all the time, because you have to, because to keep them.
It's I can't even. I said that to Earl when he was on earlier, that we knew how hard it was already to be a college basketball coach and recruit, and of course you're recruiting much less than the number of football players. But now you're not only recruiting your next kids, you're recruiting the kids that you already have every single day. That just must drive them nuts.
It's got to, and there's got to be some control. I don't know who takes care of it though. Is it Congress? Who else could do it?
Can I ask you this, Jay? Just changing course a little. I read something about Jay. I keep calling you Jay.
Why do you do that?
Well, I keep looking at that sign, and
Here's how you remember his name. What's your name?
My name is Ron. hey, my name is Ron, and so is yours, my friend. Yes, sorry. Anyway, I apologize, but I keep looking at that Jay Randolph sign, and I've got attention deficit to begin with. Okay, so leave me alone. Anyhow. Here's what I am going to ask you about, and this was something that I researched, which I never did in high school. I didn't do any researching, or I never studied. But
you're using artificial intelligence, right?
They said this was you said this. You were quoted the most difficult interview of your career. A boxer's mother.
Lamille Steeples.
Yes,
there was an very good amateur boxer, Lamille Steeples, who was killed with the United States team in a plane crash in Europe. They were flying to an international tournament. And Lamille Steeples was on that plane. He was a lightweight, middleweight, something like that. And we heard about because he was a big name here for a small period of time. And the news director called me and said, you heard about the Lamille Steeples thing. I said, yeah. I want you to go past his house and interview his mother. I said, you got the wrong guy. You will do that. I said, I can't do that. He said, Ron, you're going to do it. So we went to this address. It was somewhere in the central part of the city, I guess. Knocked on the door. She answered along with, they had a couple of other relatives there. She welcomed us in, sat her down, started talking about Lamille, and she started talking about a dream that she had. This man in his white mask showed up and was telling her that Lamille was not going to be able to come home anymore. And it was the weirdest interview. I just got chills listening to this. She finished. I told the driver, let's get the hell out of here. Well, it turns out about an hour later, she couldn't talk anymore. She realized what had happened. But that was I refused 3 times. He finally said, you got to do this. You got to do this. I said, I do sports. I don't do funerals. But yeah, that was a tough one. I've had Bobby Knight walk away from me We had an interview. See, I thought this sounded like a scouting report to me. And he left.
You were a mole.
He left the pregame interview. Bing Devine threw me out of his office one time, general manager of the Cardinals, because I was asking him a question he didn't like about his manager. He later apologized, but once in a while that stuff happens. But you mentioned La Russa and and his personality. I was emceeing a lunch at the MAC back in those days, right before the season started. I don't know what organization it was, but Chamber or something like that. And I told the story when I was introducing La Russa and the previous general manager, why can't I?
Walt Jocketty.
Jocketty, who turned out to be a really good friend.
Yeah.
Really good friend. And I said, I love playing baseball. I was a pretty good hitter when I was in high school. Small little Catholic high school over in Illinois. But I messed up a knee playing basketball when I was a junior, and I really couldn't run very well. And I said, but I was okay. Lucy got up and said, you know what? You can still beat Lane in a race from home plate, the first base. When Miotti ran, 2 miles an hour.
Yes.
I couldn't believe that he actually said that and laughed. But it was a scout at one of my games. He was not scouting me. He was scouting somebody else. Baseball, we're talking. And I had a pretty good day. I had 3 or 4 hits, and I played in the infield. And after the game, I went to this little backstop in the bleachers on this dusty baseball field. I walked up to him. I'm going to say something to him. He held up his hand. He said, son, I know what you're going to ask me. He said, I had to time you from home to first with a calendar. He said, I think you should try something else. So 50 years later, broadcast it.
Listen, what about this? You've written a couple of nice books too.
We did 4
Ron.
4 Cardinal
See
books.
that? Did I get that right that time?
You did.
I said Ron. 84 Cardinals.
Yeah, 84 Cardinals. I love that book. We did 4 Cardinal books with Reedy Press, which is a local company. 3 of them were pretty good. The last one, I don't think it's done too well. It was called 12 Rings. It's the Cardinals' 12 championships, and it's okay. But the others were coffee table, hardback, full of great photos in the ring, and sold pretty well. I really like to write, and they tell me I'm a good writer. I don't know.
What was the idea behind the 84 team? Obviously, in between 2 World Series teams.
Well, actually, it's 82 Cardinals. Was my favorite. You may have written down 84, but 82 Cardinals.
Okay.
Because the Cardinals gave me a World Series ring that year.
Yes.
The next year, I was shocked when they did it. The same ring the players got. But, I don't wear it very much. I around that time, I didn't wear it all around the players. I said, I didn't deserve this.
Yeah.
But it's got the same time. But now it's small by comparison.
Oh, today it's...
they're doorstops.
Yeah, I don't know how they wear them.
They can. Especially, you know the Rams Super Bowl ring had 159 diamonds on it. Georgia Frontier, the owner, designed it. It's so big, it literally is a doorstop.
Let me say something. I lived next door to Isaac Bruce, okay, after I left one of the homes that I used to own. And I won't say any more about that home. But anyway, I had a couple referees staying at my house because there was a camp and they didn't want to pay for a motel. So I said, fine, stay.
Referees weren't cheap.
Yes.
So Isaac lived next door and he's a very private guy. And I would say hello in the morning and goodbye. So this one guy that refereed for me, he was a little off center. I want to see that ring. I said, don't you even think about going next door and knocking on that man's door. Well, he did.
Of course.
And Isaac couldn't have been nicer. And Ron, that ring, I saw that thing really, it was like a doorknob.
Oh, my God.
I never saw anything like it in my life.
But you mentioned Isaac, a real gentleman. He was really, really a good guy.
Yes. He, Torrey, and Kurt were 3 of the best.
So that was such a great time in St. Louis. The greatest show on turf. When they were so good in those days. And it just happened by accident because it didn't look like it was going to happen. But all of a sudden it did. The magic was there. Those are some great Sundays.
Yeah, that was, one of my favorite periods of St. Louis sports because the fans spoke. I had never seen that in my life when we went through those first couple years and people are leaving tickets on people's windshields saying, take them. And the fans forced the Rams organization to do something, and the something became Marshall Faulk.
Yeah. Well, that trade turned everything around.
It did.
It really did. And it was such a fun time there. And for Meal, I remember when was it Trent Green went down?
Yes.
When Trent Green went down in preseason with a knee injury, Meal was crying after the game. He had tears. And he said, "This young guy that we're going to use, he's a pretty good quarterback." Turns out he was.
He was. He said, "We're gonna play with Kurt Warner and we're gonna win with Kurt Warner." And we went, "Who?"
Yeah, who is Kurt Warner?
Who is Kurt Warner?
He played he was working at a grocery store while he was playing indoor football. But he was, what an arm.
And they were just that group. Now, Marshall was a little different, but Kurt and Torrey and Isaac and Roland Williams and Orlando Pace and the offensive linemen and Adam Timmerman. I mean, what a fun group to cover.
Yeah, they were so friendly. They were so good to the media. I recall very much. Have you seen, was it Isaac Bruce's hands?
Torrey's, I think.
Torrey's.
Yes.
So he broke so many fingers.
Yes.
It was almost turned my stomach.
Yeah, it's like Booger McFarland watching him on ESPN, and he's got one finger that goes to the left.
Yeah. Well, Orlando Pace, a quick story. His wife, one of the nicest, sweetest ladies, she volunteered in the library over at Spady's school.
Okay.
Well, my wife was a librarian and nicest lady in the world. So one of my grandsons, I got a whole bunch of them, but one of them, he was like in the third grade and he's gonna play football down at Chesterfield, So I figured I'll go down and, watch them. So they gave all these kids shorts and T-shirts for the first couple of weeks. And I go down there and there's 500 kids. I don't know how the hell am I going to find my grandson? And I look around and all of a sudden I see a guy as big as this room who's his coach. Orlando was his coach on that youth team. And I walked over and here's what Orlando would do. He'd hold a bag, and one of these little guys would hit that bag and Orlando would fall down. See? And it was and the way he treated those kids, you would have never known that this guy ever did a thing.
And a lot of them are still here.
Yeah.
Orlando being one of them that are still here.
Well, Vermeil goes down in our sports history as quite, his first couple of years, he wasn't very good.
No.
And we wondered about that selection.
But neither was June Henley.
No. Or the Kansas City Chiefs defensive coordinator.
Yes, that era.
No, I mean, when he coached the Rams.
Yes, I know. That era was one of my least favorite times in St. Louis sports. He did not make a very good first impression, or second or third.
No, I remember one day we were at practice out at Rams Park, and the media guys, we were there, and there was picnic table here, picnic table there. We were sitting down watching practice. And one of the Rams PR guys came over and said, "Coach said you got to stand."
You got to stand.
What? If the players are standing, the media must stand during practice. You got to be kidding me.
This is Spagnola we're talking about. Yeah.
And he took all the Super Bowl stuff down off the walls there. Well, anyway, that's a long story.
Got rid of a lot of longtime employees. That was not a very smart move. And if he gets that opportunity again, I hope he does it very, very different than the first time around.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of him getting another chance, and I get it, everybody should have second and third chances, but he's 67 years old, which is a lot younger than I am. But here's the thing. There's a lot of really good young assistant coaches. Give them a shot, okay? The guy had his chance. He had his shot, and he's a good defensive coordinator.
Great defensive coordinator, yeah. There's some people that just, I'll be interested to see, honestly, in the next 10 years, whether, and I'm just going to use one example, someone like an Eli Drinkwitz goes from coaching to being the general manager now that they have these general manager positions in sports, because he might actually be better at that.
I think you're probably right about that.
You know, and so will some of those people say, you know what, I actually like the managing part of it better and being the CEO of the team versus the guy who's calling the plays and drawing up the X's and O's.
How much money he's making as the Missouri football coach?
Tough to justify. And
I tell people that say, what? How can you pay the Missouri football coach $10.5 or $11 million? How can you do that? Well, you find some very rich people out there who say, I'll write to the check.
I hope people will still write those checks. I mean, that's going to become the issue because a lot of people are talking about, you know, Mark Cuban and these guys can continue to write checks as long as they want. But a lot of people that they're getting to buy in can't keep doing that, especially if they're not getting anything in return for it.
I was talking to a guy the other day. He said, I was with two fairly substantial donors to the Missouri program, and he didn't say who they were. And they were getting tired of it already. I mean, that's not a bottomless pit unless you own Saudi oil or something.
Well, look at Troy Aikman. If you remember what he said just a couple of weeks ago, is that, you know, they came to him about a specific player, write a check. He wrote the check, never hears from anyone, and the kid leaves. So how many times is the donor going to look at the AD and say, oh, yeah, we got to have this one and write that check when this one becomes a player that ends up at 4 different schools?
Well, I pointed out the other day that I've never heard this before, but Drinkwitz went publicly asking for more NIL money to save one of the running backs.
Right, Jamal Roberts.
And he said, I said, what's it? He's actually naming the player that he wants NIL money for.
And got him.
Oh, sure he did. Sure he did.
I mean, he did. He laid it out there and said, look, I'd love to keep Jamal Roberts, but we need companies to step up. And then a couple of weeks later, they announced that Jamal had re-signed. So somebody did step up, but you're right. Whether they will continue to do that is yet to be seen.
But Drinkwitz also was very honest in saying, this is really messed up.
Hey,
college football is a mess.
Before we conclude this is an awesome session. I can't even tell you. Ron.
Yes,
I'll say it again, Ron. I'm not saying Jay. I'm saying Ron.
My wife says, hey, you. But
anyway, what I do want to mention, Mr. and Mrs. Jacober had two wonderful sons that I do want to briefly speak to. They lost one of their sons who was a police officer. And then their other son is a graduate of the Naval Academy. Talk a little bit about both those guys.
Well, Dave was the oldest. He was in the Army for 10 years. And when he got out of the Army, he went to work as a policeman in Pueblo, Colorado. At age 51, he called me and said, Dad, I've got terminal cancer. And he lasted 13 months, I guess. We spent a lot of time in Colorado with him. But it's so sad. Lois and I think about him every day. Jeff is a younger brother, 13 months younger. But he got an appointment to Annapolis. He was a good soccer player. He could have played pro soccer. Scored the winning goal in the Army-Navy game.
Oh, wow.
In his junior year. And late in their junior year at the Naval Academy, and I guess the other service academies too, they kind of give an idea what they want to do. So I was his sounding board. I said, what do you think you want to do? He said, I think I want to fly planes. I said, where did that come from? But he got the bill at the flight school when he graduated. Wound up flying the F-14 Tomcat, the fighter in the first Top Gun movie, and had 300 carry landings, bunch of missions over Iraq. We didn't know where he was much of the time. And then when he got out of the Army, or out of the Air Force, not the Air Force, the Navy, geez, he wound up flying commercially, and he's flown for many years. He's a captain with Southwest.
That is fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming in. This has been a real treat.
Hey, Dave, good to see you. Good luck with this sports talk business.
Thank you very much. It's a difficult business. You did it for a long time and did it very well. We're going to turn things over to Wrestling on the Spectrum. My thanks to Coach Zetcher and to Ron Jacober, and also Vianney head basketball coach Kevin Walsh. This has been the Earl Austin Experience right here on the Lou Information Station, live and on demand at louinfo.com.